Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Prabhupada. Thank you so much for joining the Bhagavad Gita class today on Tuesday. And let's get going. Let's see who all have joined us on Facebook. So we have Vidya Budu Devi Dasi Mataji, Mathura Prasad Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams, and Dilip Bhai Patel Prabhu. Thank you so much for joining the call. So happy to have you here. And on Zoom, in the order of appearance, are our Ishwari Radha-devi Dasi, who did a fantastic round of japa yesterday on International Japa Circle there. And Priyanka Mataji, Suruchi Soni Mataji, Khyati Mataji, and Garima Mataji. Okay, so let us get started here. I'm going to start sharing my screen and let me know whether you can see the Vigyapti Panchika prayers coming up. Do you see those?
Yes, Mataji.
All right. So we'll get started here. Let me check that I am recording this. Find us. So while we are doing the prayers, Suresh Prabhu, if you can. There. And welcome Namazia Mataji and Raji Bishwas Prabhu. Thank you so much for joining us here. And okay, let's see. Okay. Om Ajnanatimandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaeva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Gopremanande, Hare Hare Bol. Matsamo nasti papatma, na parahi sak na paradhi cha kaschana, parihare pilajjame, kim bhuve purushottama, yuvati nam yatha yuni, yunam cha yuvato yatha, mano bhi ramate tatvan, mano me ramatam tvayi. Bhumau skalitapadanam bhumirevavalambanam त्वयि जातापराधानां त्वमेवा शरणं प्रभु गोविन्दा वल्लभे राधे प्रार्थये त्वामहं सदा तदीयम् इति जानातु गोविन्दा मां त्वया सह राधे वृन्दावनाधीशे करुणामृतवाहिनी कृपया निज पादाब्जा दास्यं माह्यं प्रदीयताम्. Okay, Suyash Prabhu, what do you have for us today?
Reading order is Priyanka Mataji, Ishwari Radhika Mataji, Khyati Mataji, Niral Prabhu, Ruchi Mataji, Sutapa Mataji, Suyash, and Shraddha Mataji.
All righty, thank you so much for building the reading order. So let's continue. Start.
Mataji, can we increase the font a little bit?
Okay, sure, we can do that. And let's see. All right, I might have to increase the screen size also here. Let me know if anything is getting truncated.
On the left side it is.
Okay, so let's see.
Yeah, this is good.
Good for everybody. Okay, is something covering it? All right, there we go. Okay.
Mataji, can you scroll down? Like for me, that text hides behind the picture. Yeah, this is good. Thank you. O Purushottama, no sinner or offender is as bad as I am. How can I describe my shame? Just as the minds of young ladies take pleasure in a young man, and the minds of young men take pleasure in a young woman, kindly let my mind take pleasure in you alone.
Okay.
Just as the ground is the only support for those whose feet have slipped, you alone are the only shelter for those who have offended you.
O Srimati Radharani, beloved of Lord Govinda, this is my request. May you and Lord Govinda consider me one of your assistants.
O Srimati Radharani, O Queen of Vrindavana, you are a river flowing with the nectar of mercy. Please be kind to me and give me a little service at your lotus feet. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for reading. And it's time now for the reflections. So let's see what we have here.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam, Garima, Sustapa. So yeah, there was a
Tvameva Sharanam Prabhu.
Tvameva Sharanam Prabhu. All right, good.
Govinda Mamtaya Shaha. Okay, Varsha Mataji, please go ahead. No, please you complete it. You are already halfway through. Yeah, Mataji, Hare Krishna Mataji. Govinda Mamtaya Shaha.
Okay, what else?
Please be kind to me. So,
Being be kind to me. Yeah, that's a good prayer, isn't it? We want some kindness around us. Yeah. Vidyavadhu Mataji says, Kripya nij padabja dasya mahyam pradiyatam. Yes, we need the lotus feet of Radha and Govinda.
O Shrimati Radharani, a river flowing of nectar, please shower your mercy on me. And
yes. Can you imagine a shower of mercy? You standing underneath it?
Yes.
Okay, good. I was going to say that since most of you seem to have memorized, if not full, a part of the prayers, so let's have an exam. No, I'm just kidding. I was thinking that, as an exercise that you do after this class, getting back again in touch with Krishna consciousness as you do the chores of your other side of the life, you might want to take down a paper and pencil and write whatever comes to your memory on the verses, and this time Sanskrit, right? So write it down and you'll get an idea and see where the gaps are, right? And then we'll try to fill the gaps slowly.
Mataji, we have to write in Sanskrit?
No. The
Okay.
Sanskrit part of the verse in English.
Okay.
And you translate it in English, but write it down, right? From your memory, okay? Write it from your memory. Okay, good. So are we ready to go to the next part? And Suyash Prabhu, do you want to share or?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
It's my turn, Mataji.
Can you enable Mataji?
Oh, sorry, I forgot that. Okay, yeah, did you get that?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Can you start, Mataji?
Sutava Mataji.
Yes.
Okay. Contents of the Gita summarized. Text 1. Sanjay said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudana, Krishna, spoke the following words. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets but to infamy.
O son of Pritha, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. Arjuna said, O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counterattack with arrows in battle men like Bhishma and Drona, who are worthy of my worship?
Prabhuji, I go after.
Yes, Mataji, your turn.
My turn, no?
Yes.
It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood.
What happened? Why are we on odd or even verse?
Mataji.
Did I start with the
5th and 6th?
Okay.
Yeah, I can do one more.
Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. I can find no means to drive away this grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like the demigods in, there's some problem happening here. I'm losing contact and can't see. Okay. Demigods in heaven. Sorry for that.
Text 9. Sanjaya said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. O descendant of Bharata, at that time, Krishna, smiling in the midst of both of the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be.
The embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age. The soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception. O Shrine of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed.
Oh,
Oh,
best among.
yeah, sorry, Mataji, yours.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
best
sorry,
among.
Mataji, Kathy Mataji, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay, Mataji. Don't worry. Text 15. Oh, best among men, Arjuna. The person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both.
Text 17. That which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy the imperishable soul. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharat.
Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge. For the self slays not nor is slain. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He does not come into being, he has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain.
Text 21. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? As a person puts on new garments, giving up the old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and the useless ones.
The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble, and can be neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same.
Text 25. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. If, however, you think that the soul or the symptoms of life will always be born and die forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty armed.
One who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death, one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So, what need is there for lamentation?
Some look on soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you should not you therefore you need not grieve for any living being.
Text 31. Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, and so there is no need for hesitation. O Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors for of the heavenly planet.
If, however, you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. People will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death.
The great generals who have highly who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you?
Text 37. O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore, get up with determination and fight. Do thou fight for the sake of fighting, without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, and by so doing, you shall never incur sin.
Haribol. So we finished the Chad assignment for today. And let's go deep into the verse number 7. Tuyash Prabhu, please. And welcome Salva Prabhu to the call, as well as Bhumika Mataji and Vibhu Mataji joining us on Facebook. Karpanya dosho pahata swabhava pritchami tvam dharma sammudha chetaha yachreyasya nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. Synonyms, please.
Karpanya, of miserliness. Dosha, by the weakness. Upahata, being afflicted. Swabhava, characteristics. Prichami, I am asking. Tvam, unto you. Dharma, religion. Samudha, bewildered. Cheta, in heart. Yat, what. Shreya, all good. Syat, maybe. Nishchitam, confidently. Bruhi, tell. Tat, that. Me, unto me. Shishya, disciple. Te, your. Aham, I am. Shadhi, just instruct. Mam, may. Tvam, unto you. Prapannam, surrendered.
Haribol.
Translation. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me.
By nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. In every step, there is a perplexity, and therefore it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give one proper guidance for executing the purpose of life. All Vedic literature advises us to approach a bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life, which happen without our desire. They are like a forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. Similarly, the world situation is such that the perplexity of life automatically appear without our wanting such confusion. No one wants fire, and yet it takes place, and we become perplexed. The Vedic wisdom therefore advises that in order to solve the perplexities of life and to understand the science of the solution, one must approach Prabhu, can you scroll down? A spiritual master who is in the disciplinic disciplic succession. A person with bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything. One should not, therefore, remain in material perplexities, but should approach a spiritual master. This is the purport of this verse.
Who is the man in material perplexities? It is he who does not understand the problems of life. In Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 3.8.10, the perplexed man is described as follows: Yo va etad aksaram gargi avidhi twas mal lokat praiti sa kripanaha. He is a miserly man who does not solve the problems of life as a human, and who thus quits this world like the cats and dogs without understanding the science of self-realization. This human form is life is a most valuable asset for the living entity who can utilize it for solving the problems of life. Therefore, one who does not utilize this opportunity properly is a miser. On the other hand, there is the Brahmana, or he who is intelligent enough to utilize his body to solve all the problems of life. Ya etad aksharam gargi viditvasmal lokat praiti sa brahmana.
The Kripanas or miserly persons waste their time in being overly affectionate for family, society, country, etc., in the material conception of life. One is often attached to family life, namely to wife, children, and other members, on the basis of skin disease. The Kripana thinks that he is able to protect his family members from death, or the Kripana thinks that his family or society can save him from the verge of death. Such family attachment can be found even in the lower animals who take care of children also. Being intelligent, Arjuna could understand that his affection for family members and his wish to protect them from death were the causes of his perplexities. Although he could understand that his duty to fight was awaiting him, still on account of miserly weakness, he could not discharge the duties. He is therefore asking Lord Krishna, the Supreme Spiritual Master, to make a definite solution. Shuesh Prabhu, you can read.
He offers himself to Krishna as a disciple. He wants to stop friendly talks. Talks between the master and the disciple are serious, and now Arjuna wants to talk very seriously before the recognized spiritual master. Krishna is therefore the original spiritual master of the science of Bhagavad Gita, and Arjuna is the first disciple of the understanding the Gita. How Arjuna understands the Bhagavad Gita is stated in the Gita itself. And yet, foolish mundane scholars explain that one need not submit to Krishna as a person, but to the unborn within Krishna. There is no difference between Krishna's within and without, and one who has no sense of this understanding is the greatest fool in trying to understand Bhagavad Gita.
All right, good part of the day, reflection time.
Mataji, though it is not the question time, but there is one line, Krishna's within and without. There's no difference between Krishna's within and without. So does it mean that with Krishna and without Krishna?
No. Within here, within means inside, and without is the opposite of within, which is outside. So this is used in the context of our body. So when we look at somebody's body, we see the gross body, right? So that is what is the without of that person, the outside of that person, because you are actually a soul, right? So within the body is the soul. So there's a difference between our without and our within, because our gross body is made up of material elements, and our within, which is the soul, is made up of spiritual, right, element. And but here the verse is saying that when it comes to Krishna, there is no difference between Krishna's within and without. This means that Krishna's body that you see is not a gross body. Krishna's hands and legs and feet and eyes are also made up of transcendental or spiritual material. They are not made of material elements like our bodies are made up of, like Prithvi, Jal, Tej, Vayu, Akash, right? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. Okay? So there are equivalents. There's a the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita says, Urdhamulam adha shakham ashvatam prahuravyayam chandamsi yasya parnani yastam ved savedavid adhaschordam prasitastasya shakha guna pravitha vishaya pravalaha adhascha mulani anusantatani karmani bandhini manushya loke. So that particular verse is describing the material world for us. And it says the material world is like a banyan tree, is like an inverted banyan tree, right? So what does that mean as inverted banyan tree? And Prabhupada explains over there is that if you go to the bank of a river and you see that there's a tree next to the, on the bank of the river, and you can see the reflection of the tree. So the tree appears to be upside down. So similarly here he's saying, similarly here in our material world, this material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. So whatever is there in the spiritual world, is there in the, you find that in the material world also, but you see it in a perverted form, right? Bigdava roop, like that. So that what that means is there is spiritual fire and there is material fire. There is spiritual water and there is material water, right? And then similarly spiritual air and material air. So our gross body is constructed from material, earth, water, fire, air, meat, ether, mind, ego, and intelligence, like that, which is subtle but still material. And Krishna's body is also made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether, but it is made up of the spiritual content, spiritual air, spiritual fire, like that.
Okay,
So
Mataji.
yeah, so
Thank you
within
so
and
much.
without are the same.
The point where Arjuna makes, I have lost all my composure because of miserly weakness.
Mm.
Knowing ourselves that I am in miserly weakness, that also takes huge humble and understanding of self. That's something which caught my eyes, and there are so many other things in purport. It's very nice. It's very long.
It's very long purport, and it's an important purpose because it is telling us about the shift. Yeah, it's
Surrender.
the change. Yes, it's the shift that Arjun makes, and which is very important for all of us to make that shift, right?
I think not only recognizing the perplexity, but he knew the right source and going to the right source
Yeah.
and submitting in a right mood. All of them together, right?
Yes.
Sometimes we know our deficiency, but how many times we can act to remove it, or work on it. So
Or want to.
or want to, yes.
Yeah, very true.
That I really found
Yeah.
very nice and something that we should, at least I should apply in my life.
Yeah, we all, yes, exactly. And yeah, it's almost like as if all the planets are aligned nicely, right? Planets are being aligned here for him. Yes, I'm in the right mood, I've got the right understanding. Yeah.
It's like shortest way of having problem and then going to the solution. Sometimes we take like so long to go to the solution.
You are so right about that. And the interesting thing is that, there was no need for us to make it so complicated. Right? I will do it. I mean, I remember when my daughter was small and she would say ape, that, which meant that I want to do it on my own and then mess it up all, right? And then the mom or dad has to come in and clear the mess. But it was like, I want to do it. So you see that thing to be a controller is there even in a small child. Because what is a small child? It's just a gross body. The soul inside is still there, right? And will manifest some of its features. So whatever sanskars are there in that the soul is carrying together with it from one body to another, again from the 5th verse, it talks about that, utkramantam stham vapi. So whatever impressions that the soul carries from one body to another body, those impressions, some of the impressions will manifest, and he will act or she will act according to that. And but it might take some time for them to fructify and to really be manifest, because in a child's body you can only do this much. You can only fulfill this many desires. But for example, if you want to fly an aeroplane, you can't do that in the body of a child. You have to wait for the body to grow up, right? So these these sanskaras also, they will, manifest, and you'll start acting upon them as you grow in life. And but some of them will show, like how they say, "Poot ke pair palne mein nazar aate hain." That you see while the child is in the cradle itself, you can see the tendencies like that. And I remember Vidyavadhu Mataji had a friend, and she had a little baby boy, and she was living in a joint family where there was another little baby girl also. And so this boy was they were both toddlers, but the boy was a little bit older than the girl. And the girl had just started to learn how to stand up by holding, put the hands on the table and just moving just a little bit. But she really needed the support of the table to be able to stand. And so she's standing, she's trying to move. And then this boy comes and he tries to move her fingers away from the table so that she falls down. And the boy's mom actually, shared this with the woman, saying like, "Oh my goodness, look at my son, how bad he is." But you see, the tendency was there right from the childhood to give grief to others like that. So yes, the tendencies. Yeah, more reflections. The purpose of life is self-realization, says Vidyavadhu Devi Dasi. She's joined by Koteshwar Naidu Prabhu, also watching him, and Vinu Koli Mataji and Raja Prabhu. Fantastic. Welcome to the call. More reflections.
Mataji, he is a miserly man who does not solve the problems of life as a human. And who thus quits this world like cats and dogs without understanding the science of self-realization. So I really feel that human life is waste if we do not really make use of it for self-realizing.
Exactly. Yes. So what is a miser?
We are miser that we do not really take care of. We do not utilize the life given to us on this earth, and for self-realization.
Yeah.
Worldly minded person.
Who is a miser?
One who
Worldly minded.
One who has abundance, but he doesn't want to give away is a miser.
Is a miser? Yeah.
Miser
and why does he want to?
kind
Yeah, you're almost there. We're almost there. Yeah. So if he doesn't want to give it away, then who's going to have it?
He just want to enjoy for himself.
Himself, exactly. Right. And we did that exercise yesterday of seeing how many times the word me appeared in chapter 1, right? And what was the count?
13.
13 times, right? And the word my appears 17 times. So chapter 1 is full of me and mine, and that's what Arjuna is doing, right? How will we enjoy we, right? And then like we is a expanded form of me, right? We make it more, and then also these are my people, so that mine is there. How will we enjoy if they are not there? Right? Constantly, us, what will happen to us, and then what about the children that are born in our kingdom, like that, constantly going on and on and on about me and the extended me. So he was constantly thinking about that. And then here in this particular chapter, he now suddenly there's a switch that happens over there, right? But interesting thing is that we are always thinking about ourselves, but what we don't realize is that there's no need to think too much about it. Like, don't do ugra karma and ugra thoughts. Don't just go crazy trying to get things for yourself, because you will get them. Whatever you are destined to get, you will get them. You will get it. Just as you get miseries, right? In fact, Shashika is like, who gets up in the morning and says, I want my house to be raided by the income tax people? Nobody says that. But still they come. If they are destined to come, still they will come to you, right? So similarly here also, why are you worried? Yadi mama jayeyo, yadi mana jayeyu, whether I'm going to win or he's going to win, right? He's singing in the previous verse, Arjuna. So don't worry about that. You will get whatever is as your destiny. You will get that, right? So yeah. So then expanding a little bit more on that you said that leaving the world as cats and dogs, Varshana Mataji. So can you elaborate a little bit on what do cats and dogs do?
Cats and dogs do not understand the
No, do.
complexities.
Varshana Mataji, what do they do? I did not ask what do they don't do. I'm asking what do they do? Cats and dogs.
They keep fighting with each other, and
Okay.
dog tries to kill the cat. Is after
Okay.
her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mataji,
Same.
Mm-hmm.
they eat, sleep, mate, and defend.
Yes, very good. I was looking for that answer.
Controlled.
They eat, sleep, mate, and defend. And that's what Prabhupada is saying, that don't leave the world like a cat and a dog, which means that all that you did in your life was to eat, sleep, mate, and defend.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji.
I was in one of those days. I had back-to-back meetings non-stop from like 6:30, which is your first meeting here, all the way up to like 10:30 in the night, back to back, back to back, back to back. And so so were the others who were in the meeting. They were also having their own set of meetings, but they were all back to back, back to back, back to back. And so one of them explained, and he said, "Oh, we are Vaishnavas, and all that we do is we eat, we sleep, we meet, and we defend." He always having meetings. Yeah, that's a good way to do that, right? And so Varshana Mataji, when you said that all that the cats do is they fight, and which is defending. They fight because they are trying to defend themselves, right? Most of the times they are like that. So Prabhupada is saying that don't do that. And so again here, Arjuna is perplexed, and we talk about the perplexities of life, right? But what is the real perspective? What is the real problem with life? What are the real problems of life?
Janma Mrityu Jaravadhi.
Yeah, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, right? Birth, death, old age, and disease. These are really the problems. And who can solve the problem? How can you solve those problems? Only when you are in a human body can you solve those problems. Otherwise, you'll be like cat and dogs. They can't do that. Cats and dogs have intelligence, but their intelligence is not like the intelligence of a human being. Human beings can reason. Cats and dogs act on instinct, like that. So atato, that's why they say atato brahma jigyasa, that now that you've got a human body, right, you should inquire about Brahma. And so we see that there has been a switch in Arjuna, and which is good. Most likely the super soul inside him is guiding him to now say that, Shishyasteham shadi mam tam prapannam, right? So he's basically surrendering to Krishna. And what is he saying? The main thing to notice over here is that he's saying, just instruct me. Just instruct. And what is the word for just instruct? In Sanskrit, you want to bring up the verse, if you're still there. Suresh Prabhu with us? Is he there with us? No? Yes, no? Yeah, Suresh is there. Suresh Prabhu, yeah, thank you.
Shadhi, Mataji, Shadhi, Sadhi.
Yeah, Shadi. Right? It's very close to Shadi in Hindi.
Yeah.
Right? So Shadi also, your spouse will instruct you all the time. But he's asking for voluntary. Man, this is Shadhi, right? So Arjuna is saying, and this is the major thing, the major change that has happened is now Arjuna has decided to keep quiet. After talking for such a long time, he's now saying, you please instruct me. So this is very important aspect in a guru and a disciple relationship, right? That the disciple has to ask, and he's saying, please instruct me. So he has to ask for instructions. And when the guru is giving you instructions, you are supposed to follow those instructions. And sometimes those instructions might be very difficult to perform. And yet, because your spiritual master gave you those instructions, you do it. Can you give us an example of difficult instructions Srila Prabhupada gave to any of his disciples?
Preach, Mother.
Preach.
Preach the holy name of the Lord.
Okay. I was. If you could, give me a more example more closer to the question, which was, can you give an example of an instruction that Prabhupada gave to his disciples? It was very
Yes,
difficult.
Mataji, the 4 regulative principles.
Yeah, just here, let me finish
Rounds.
my question so that you get the question right. Okay, so the question is, give me an example of an instruction that Prabhupada gave to his disciples, which was very difficult to do.
Chant 16 rounds.
16 rounds is difficult. Okay, all right. What
Or
else?
give up meat eating.
Give up meat eating, which would be difficult for most of the disciples to do at that time. Yeah, in the country that he was. Yeah. What else did he do? What else did he say?
No illicit sex.
No illicit sex, most difficult thing at that time with the hippie culture around. Yeah.
Yes,
Intoxication.
Mataji, that's why I told that 4 regulative principles.
Okay, so you covered it all. Okay, but yeah.
One other thing, Mataji, that comes into my mind was uh, in the I forgot the author of Chasing the Rhinos. So that Prabhu says
Shamru,
Sham,
Shamsundar.
Shamsundar Prabhu says they had to go to London. They were just 2 or 3 and set up the whole temple. So in itself, that's, I think it's very tough. You have just started Krishna consciousness, and Prabhupada says, go there. Not just started, but we are new. And then they send them from New York to SF, start there, and from New York to London, start there. Those things.
Exactly. Yes. So sometimes the guru will give you instructions. I was looking for a precise answer, and thank you for bringing that up. And so Prabhupada, and at that time in London, we had George, in England, we had George Harrison, right? He was one of the Beatles who used to sing. And he used to give money, he used to give some donations, but Prabhupada wanted Shyamsundar Prabhu to go and ask him for the donation for printing the Krishna book. And which was very difficult. You just can't go, like, trying to get to a big shot is big enough. And if he's, um, uh, he's showering his blessings on you, material blessings, and we need, every organization needs some Lakshmi. But Prabhupada had said that go and ask him for some money. And so Shyamsundar Prabhu went there, and it was dinner time, and he just said that I could not muster the courage to ask him for money because he knew that he didn't like it. He was like, he had a personality which said that, I will give as much as money as I like to give, but don't ask me for it. So some donors are like that. So he was among those. And then it's an entire dinner happened, and he was just thinking like, I will say now, and then it didn't happen. And then just now see Krishna's interference, happy, benign interference, that there was suddenly a big storm that came up, and there was a huge lightning, and the whole power went off. And not like that. No. Sorry, that take a step back. So somehow, at the end of towards the end of the dinner, he mustered the courage to ask him for money and said, we need 20,000 pounds or something like that. And suddenly, this storm came up, and there's a huge lightning, and the lightning struck the sky. And then there was huge thundering sound. And George Harrison said, I take it as a sign of Krishna, I'll give you the money, like that. But it was a difficult thing, like he narrates that. So, or he asked, one of his disciples, I think he said, oh, we should preach to the Muslim countries. Okay, he said, okay, now you go to Pakistan. Somebody said, China. I don't think Chinese should be, taught this Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said, no. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, in every town and village, my name is besides you go to China. So if you speak too much before your spiritual master and unnecessarily before your spiritual master, you can get, into situation. Of course, he went there, Tamal Krishna Prabhu went there and did a fantastic job of preaching and spreading Krishna consciousness there. But yes, so when we ask for instructions, it is, we have to be careful of, how much, anything can come up to you. And then again, he has said that, please instruct me. And one of the things that will come later on in Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 is, how do you approach a spiritual master, right? And ask for instructions. So before you start asking for instructions and this and that, you have to first do seva. You have to do service for the spiritual master. You have to serve him. And then after that, once that connection has been established, heart-to-heart connection by doing some service, that then they will be pleased with you, and then they will open their hearts, and then they will give you the knowledge that they have God through self-realization, like that. right? So the point over there, the verse over there is Tatvidi paripatena pariprashnena sevaya upadeshiyanti te jnanam jnanina tattvadarshinaha. So what it says is that you should approach a spiritual master, paripatena, humbly you should approach him. And then before that, you have to, serve him, right? And then they will be happy with you, and they will grant the information to you. So that's what Arjuna over here is doing, right? And then there's even
Mataji, can I ask a
sure.
question? So when you say we should first serve him, is the service here means like the direct service to the spiritual master, or it can be like indirect service, like you're doing things which he likes, and sometimes it's hard to just directly serve him. So I just want to understand, can you elaborate on that?
Yes, and thank you for asking that question. It is very, very important. It is very, very important to understand that when you serve the spiritual master, there are two ways in which you can serve. And one way, and this is called Guru Seva, serving the spiritual master. And the first way that you serve is Guru Vani. Vani means the voice of Guru Maharaj. Okay. And whatever he is preaching, whatever instructions he's giving, you go and do that. Right. And the second is that you do what is known as Vapu Seva. Vapu means body. So you do the service of the body to the body of the spiritual master, right? And what does that mean? That means that somebody was Srila Prabhupada's personal servant. So Srila Prabhupada's personal servant would massage Srila Prabhupada, right? He will make sure that the clothes are ready for him. He will serve him food. He would take away the plate, like that. So that is Vapu Seva. And you are doing seva to the body of the spiritual master. And a person engaged in things like that sometimes can get excused from certain other duties which might be applicable to everybody else. For example, you are in a temple and Prabhupada is attached to the temple. I mean, attached in the sense that living there. And obviously the personal servant has to be awake before the spiritual master wakes up and should go to sleep after the spiritual master goes to sleep, right? And then other brahmacharis also in the temple. So every brahmachari is required to come for Mangalarti. Now, Prabhupada may go to Mangalarti, may not go to Mangalarti because he's busy translating the books, which is his main thing, right? And so Srila Prabhupada would need the personal servant around him to help him, with anything that he needs while he's translating the books. So his personal servant need not attend the Mangalarti, right? So this is, very close to the spiritual master doing personal service. And the other service is Vani, right? And Vani is the instructions, follow the instructions of the spiritual master. And a classic example of that is Srila Prabhupada himself. He was a grihastha, he had a family, he had a business to take care of. And yet he had surrendered to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj. But because of his engagements with his business and his grihastha life, he was not able to find as much time as he would have wanted to even go and meet his spiritual master because they were in different cities. So, like, if there was a 5-day celebration, Prabhupada would be able to manage to go only to the last 2 days or only for 2 days in that celebration and things like that, right? So, but what he did was that in one of his meetings with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that if you have got money, print books. So that was an instruction of the spiritual master. And Prabhupada, Priyanka Mataji, how well he carried out the instructions of the spiritual master. He took that amazing task of traveling overseas here, spreading Krishna consciousness, printing books, and even till the last. If you are in a noisy environment, if you can mute yourself. So I just lost my thought.
Yes,
so
Mataji, you
Prabhupada
were
was printing
saying
books.
that
Yeah,
Prabhupada,
Prabhupada was printing books. Yeah, so Prabhupada was printing books, and so you see till the last moment of his life he did that. Similarly here we see that when Srila Prabhupada was about to leave the body, he was very, very sick. He was in Vrindavan, and so there were some disciples who were close to him, physically close there in the same room, taking care of him, right? But then there were lots who were just carrying out his instructions of distributing the books in America, and Vaisheshika Prabhu was one of them. And so you see that is the epitome of service, that you carry out the instructions of your spiritual master, although in your heart you really want to be close to the body of the spiritual master, because he's about to leave the body. So everybody would want to crowd around. Like even now we do that, right? When Vaisheshika Prabhu comes to the temple, everybody wants to hang around him. Or he comes to visit your city, everyone wants to hang around him. Or any big shot comes to your city, we want to hang around. We want him to see us, right? And Srila Prabhupada used to say that. Srila Prabhupada used to say that about Krishna, but I'm just going to extend that to the Guru also. So Srila Prabhupada used to say that, you go to the temple to see the deities, right? But you should do something so fantastic that the deities would want to see you. Who's that person who's distributing so much books? Who's that person who's preaching my name and fame so much? Like that. So similarly for the Guru also, do something for the spiritual master that he would like to see you. Right. So these two aspects of service to the spiritual master, and both of them are they are two flavors of serving the spiritual master, and both have their ups and downs, right? So if you're doing a physical, like a Vapu seva, we are very close to the spiritual master, and then you get to know the personality of the spiritual master. Only a person who's serving food to the spiritual master will know what he likes and what he does not like by just looking at the plate that is left behind, right? Whatever is left behind is what he did not like to eat, right? Like that. So you get to know some of the intimate details about the spiritual master, which we everybody wants to know, right? Everybody wants to know that, because the spiritual master is a personality, and so are the disciples. So they want to know. There's a query is always there, and people will even now we want to know about Srila Prabhupada, right? What was he like? What was he wearing? Was he always wearing cotton? What did he wear silk? And so things like that. You want to know about your spiritual master, and so only one who's doing the Vapu Seva can tell us that, right? And then when it comes to Vapu Seva, the ladies might all be disappointed because you don't touch your spiritual master's body. And so what can I do? Well, the ladies can do, cook food for him, which is kind of a Vapu Seva also, because directly for the body, right? But if you're not a good cook, don't feel disappointed, because book distribution is the biggest thing in ISKCON here. So you can always do that. Doesn't matter what fame, what gender you are, what age you are, what nationality you are, you can always distribute the books there, right? Now, Vani Seva is important, and sometimes you'll see people saying that Vani Seva is even more important than Vapu Seva. And the reason for that is if you're only doing Vapu Seva, which means the only Seva that you did to your spiritual master was to serve his body, then after the spiritual master leaves the body, you will have trouble. Because once the body is gone, only Vani remains. Right? And if you have not served the Vani, then you could end up being miserable, because you don't know what to do. Right? So Vani Seva, Vani is always there. Like Prabhupada's Vani, like all of you said, Prabhupada said 4 regulative principles, right? You all said 16 rounds. So Tapa, said all 4 regulative principles like that. Yes, so we are still following. Vani remains forever. Vapu has to go because we are in the material world, like that. Priyanka, that answers your query?
Yes, Mataji, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And I really like what you said, that Vani is always going to remain with us, whereas because we are in the material world, Vapu is gonna. And plus, while we are there, I mean, this body is constantly changing, and the material world is constantly changing and temporary. So I really like that.
Yes.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yes, and I tell you, Vani Seva is also easy than Vapu Seva, because if you go out on book distribution, you getting chastised is much less. But if you're trying to do Vapu Seva, you can make mistakes. Once I'm forgetting the name of the Mataji, but she was from the western side And so she prepared all the Western delicacies, nice Western food for Prabhupada. And Prabhupada just got angry. He's like, I just want dal, roti, sabzi, like that, So you can end up making mistakes. But then again, being chastised by the spiritual master is something, which is for our benefits. And sometimes disciples just, yearn for that and say, like, when is he going to scold me? Although it's very difficult for our ego to take the scolding, but it's for a general benefit like that. So yeah, if the spiritual master is not in a good mood, then you could get caught up in that. Yeah, so the closer you get, yeah, the chances are there of making a mistake, direct offenses to the spiritual master. Yeah. Any other reflections? Any other thoughts? We are very close to closing time. This is heavy chapter, right? Chapter 7.
There is one line like the person who does not solve the problems of life. So Mataji, sometimes it is not very easy to solve the problems on our own. Those we know means everything means that what should we do, but then who then?
I will have to stop you there, right?
Yeah.
Before you go ahead in a direction where we don't want you to head, right? And that is, let's go back to the question: what are the problems of life? What are the problems of life? Birth, death, old age, and disease, right? So Sutapa, this whole chapter number 1, and Arjun talking, is about this only. That Arjuna is talking about stuff which is not the problem of life. I mean, it is a problem in some ways, but it is not the bigger problem. So we should just focus on the bigger problems. The smaller problems will get solved by themselves. So solve the bigger problem first, right? Problem of birth, right?
Yeah.
Problem of death, problem of old age, and problem of disease. These are the 4 things that are the biggest problem. On the other hand, what is Arjuna talking about? Jayate Varna Sankara, Patitam, all my ancestors will fall down because Lupta Pundo Dakakriya, nobody will do shad for them. He's talking about these problems that are going to come. And of course, the biggest problem is how will we enjoy without our relatives being there? Those are the kinds of problems he's talking about. But Krishna is going to tell him that those are not the problems. The problems of life are that we think the biggest problem of the life is that I think I am this body. And I still don't know how to get out of that thinking, right? So if you take to Krishna consciousness in your life, then what's going to happen is that you will ultimately get out of this cycle of birth and death. So once you're not born, then where's the question of disease? And where's the question of old age? If you're not born itself, where's the question of death? And then Krishna, you had read in this chapter 2 that the soul is neither born, is not cut to pieces. Well, very good, it's not born. But then to realize that I am the soul. So once you come to that level and that platform, then you will realize, right? And once you realize that you're a soul, then Sutapa, a lot of the problems of life will be solved, right? The biggest problem of our life is that, our ego, I don't get along well with him. He did not speak nicely with me. I did not get the respect I think I deserve, like that, right? So those are the petty problems of our life, and they all will disappear when you'll think like, what is respect? What is respect? Who are we respecting? Right? The souls are all inside, right? What are we respecting? The body, maybe the position, maybe the power. That is what we are respecting. But that is all something that will go away, right? So if somebody did not give you respect, that's fine. A devotee will say, that is very good. The person did not give me respect. It is actually good for my health, my spiritual health, right? Because there is a spiritual body that we talk about, which, Krishna's body is completely spiritual. So we also have a spiritual body. And devotional service is about making that spiritual body manifest itself for you so that you know what your spiritual body is. And to reach to that particular stage, we have to do all these things that we do, right? The 5 totem items of devotional service. We do chant the holy names of the Lord. We do deity worship. We read the Srimad Bhagavatam. We distribute Sankirtan. And we stay at a holy place. right? Like that. So we do certain items of devotional service so that that body can get manifest. So that body, if it's a body, it's also going to have blood, right? So Vaisheshika Prabhu in one of his classes says that, like how even here, blood is, even in this gross body, blood is very important, right? If you drain all the blood from somebody's body, then he will die. So blood is important, right? It has to be there, right? If you drain it, then it goes. Now inside it, if the blood stops working properly, then we have problems, right? Like that. So blood is involved so much in the workings of the gross body. So similarly, there's blood in the spiritual body also, but it's spiritual blood. It's called Chid Rakta. Our Rakta is not Chid. Our Rakta is not internal. It's not transcendental. So it's called Chid Rakta. And Vaisheshika Prabhu says,
what is the English like CHR?
CID.
Oh, Chit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Chid Rakta. Yeah, it's actually Chit. It's actually Chit. But because of the Sandhi, the T becomes a D when you're pronouncing it with Rakta. So it becomes Chid Rakta. But actually, if you separate it out, it's Chit plus Rakta. Rakta is blood, and Chit is eternal. So the spiritual blood. So when we have, so he says in his lectures that when somebody insults you, then our Chit Rakta increases. You know how we take tonics here in the material world, or we eat a lot of, what are the things that you eat to get some blood in your body?
Pomegranate, broccoli.
Okay, broccoli, right? Like that. So you eat things, right? So similarly, what are you supposed to eat to get your Chit Rakta glowing? Well, you will be doing devotional service. That definitely helps. And as Vaisheshika Prabhu says, that all the vitamins are in the holy name. So all the vitamins that you need are there, chant the holy names of the Lord. But then there are some negative things also that help grow your so-called negative things, help grow your Chit Rakta. And those are, if somebody ignores you, you feel bad, right? But on the other hand, your Chit Rakta grows. Because the more people insult you, the more we feel bad about it. We'll try to find a way out. And what a fantastic way out to know that, all that they're insulting is the body, and I am not the body. They're not insulting me. They cannot insult me. There are so many things you cannot do to the soul. Today in the verse we read, the soul is immovable. You cannot move me. Like that. Right? Nobody can do anything to your soul. Na hanne te hanne mare charire. It doesn't die, even if you kill the body. So you can kill me with insults as much as you like, right? Apparently to the body, but not, or to my mind, but nothing to the soul. So when people ignore you, when people are mad at you, and when they insult you, then your Chit Rakta actually grows up. So when we come across, half of our problems, we start analyzing our thoughts, and half of our, problems or perplexities in life are because of me. They're all surrounding around me. It's the wrong concept of the body. So that is why this Vedic knowledge, this Vedic wisdom is so amazing at that it just goes to the root of the problem. And the root of the problem is ignorance. And the ignorance is that I do not even know who am I. It's the height of ignorance, right? So our focus should be on the main problems of life. Keep the main thing, and others will get solved by themselves.
But Mataji, it is very difficult to come to the level of Chitrakta.
Yes, it is
think
difficult.
if somebody is shouting at you.
Yes. Yes, you have to be a Mahatma to be able to tolerate that. Yes, it is difficult. Yes, but how do we overcome difficult things? Priyanka Mataji, you are in the Tuesday call, right? We are doing 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where also Arjuna says it is very difficult to control the mind, right?
Right.
And then what does Krishna say? How do you then do it?
Mataji, chanting will help us to from all this means for the detachment.
Yes, it will. It will help you definitely. right? So what Krishna says is that if you find anything very difficult, practice it through practice, right? He says
Right,
practice
right.
and
Yes.
detachment. Those are the two things he says, right? To suitable practice and detachment, you do that. Okay. Now tell me one thing. How can we practice? Now, if you heard today in today's lecture, if somebody insulting me, it will increase my chidrakta. This means that, let's look for an occasion that somebody will insult me. What is the best possible thing that you can do which will give a chance for others to insult you, which will still be devotional service?
Book distribution.
Book distribution. Thank you so much, Garima Mataji, for saying that. On the occasion of Bhakti Vinod Thakur's disappearance day, we are doing a massive amount of book distribution, right? Because when you go and do book distribution, people shut the door on your face. And you are thinking like, oh my goodness, I am a director of this company. And look at this man, he doesn't even know that. And then you realize that I am not the director. I am a nobody. And when you come to the stage and realize that I am a nobody, that is the best stage from where you start your devotional service. You are akinchana. That's why Kunti Devi says in her prayers that, Tam akinchana gochara. People who have other things like Janma Aishwarya Shruta Sri Bhir Eve Mana Madhapuna Never Arati Abhidhatun Vai Tvam Akinchana Gochara. Kunti Maharani says that, and he says that Janma, that those who are born in a high family, like I'm the son of the president of the company, right? Good birth, like that. I'm the son of the king. I'm the son of a business tycoon, so this birth. Janma Aishwarya, fame, beautiful body, these are not things that will help you in devotional service. They can become a hindrance. That doesn't mean that devotees are not beautiful. Devotees are the most beautiful people in the world, right? So, but on the mundane level, like what I'm trying to say is that if you're Miss Universe, then nobody, the chances are that you'll enter into Hollywood or Bollywood, right? Like that. The chances of you coming into Krishna consciousness just get reduced a little bit just because of the environment in which you are there, like that. So Janma Aishwarya Shubhi, right? So all these things are not conducive for devotional service. Only when you come to the level that I am nothing, then devotional service is easy for them.
So one thing you said, Mataji, suitable practice, and second, what did you say?
Detachment.
Detachment.
Yeah, because you can get attached to your practice also.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Mataji, I have realized since the time I came to Krishna consciousness, to avoid the conflicts or the difference of opinions in the family, I felt that reading is one thing which gives you a lot of support. It gives you.
Yes, knowledge.
Because the Shastras are knowledge. It gives you a lot of support. That never mind. You have you have somebody. The books are actually maybe made of paper and ink and rest of the thing, but they have a body which instructs you, teaches you, and many times it loves you. When I pick up the book, I like Bhagavad Gita. When I pick it up, I really hold it nicely, and I hug it. That thank God I have something with me which can protect me from the day-to-day life problems.
Exactly. And then scriptures, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam, is the body of Krishna. And this I'm quoting from Padma Puran. It is not something that I'm just, creating from my head. The Srimad Bhagavatam, which is, and this was a question that the sages of Naimisharanya asked in Srimad Bhagavatam. And that, now that Krishna has, this is one of the 6 questions that they asked, which led to the Bhagavatam being spoken at the time. So they asked that what is, now that Krishna has gone back, and, what's going to happen to religion and knowledge, religiosity and knowledge? And the answer to given was that, Krishna swadam upagate dharma jnana dibhi saha kalau drishta nisham esa punar arko adhino udita. So he said that, Krishna swadam upagate, when Krishna goes back to his dham, then knowledge and religiosity also goes, because he is, dharma and knowledge all go back with him, because he is personified, and knowledge and dharma. And so, but then, Kalau Nasht Drisham, that in the Kali Yuga, the people of Nasht Drisham means their eyesight is gone completely, right? And what I mean by that is not that most of the people are wearing glasses in Kali Yuga these days, not that, but with their eyes, they only see material. They do not see the
Yeah.
spiritual aspect of the life. So that is why their drishti is nasht, right? So Kalau Nasht Disham Esham Punar Arko Adhuno Uditaha. So the sun of all the Puranas has arisen in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam, which was recently spoken by Sukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. And then it equates, and the Padma Purana actually equates the 12 cantos. And, like if Krishna has come back again in the form of a literature here to guide us. And so, where is Krishna? You're showing me a box of books. Where is Krishna? You're saying this is Krishna. Well, there are 12 cantos, and the 12 cantos equate to his body parts like this. The first and the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam equate to the lotus feet of the Lord, right? And the third and the fourth canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, they are his thighs. The fifth canto is his navel. The sixth canto is his chest, right? And how much did we reach? Navel 5? Chest?
Sixth, Mataji.
Six,
Seven.
just
Yeah. So 7 and 8 are his arms, right? Are his lotus arms, like that. Arms. And 9 is his lotus neck. 10th is his lotus face. And 11th is his forehead. And 12th is the crown of his head. That is how it is. So when Srimad Bhagavatam is there in your house, it emits transcendental vibrations. And when the Srimad Bhagavatam is in your house, then wherever Krishna is, his paraphernalia also follows. So all the 31 crore devtas come and reside in your home. So you get both spiritual auspiciousness and material auspiciousness. If you're still asking for that, you get it both by just placing a Srimad Bhagavatam. What to talk of opening the box and then reading it, the kind of, auspiciousness that you will get. So yes, anytime that
10th is face and 11th is 11th and 12th.
the forehead and the head.
Thank you, Mother.
You're welcome. Yeah. So Krishna himself can come, and that is why he's there to protect you if you're having problems, relationship problems, what perplexities of life. Open the Bhagavatam, read, you'll find an answer there. Okay, so then should we call it a day? It's 7:47 on the clock, and let me see what reflections were there on the Facebook. I hope I was not ignoring the Facebook ones. So okay, then we have some responses. Shadi, yes, it means to instruct. Anita Purohit, sorry, not Anita, but her name now is Achitarade. She says book distribution. Yes, book distribution is not where you'll get a chance to be ignored. And then we welcome Vijayalakshmi Mataji, and Vidyavadhu Mataji is saying, so she's saying about Guru's Vapu Seva. Vapu Seva is when you serve the body of the spiritual master. And she's saying, Guru Maharaj says in one of his lectures that Guru is like fire, indeed. Don't go near as you will get burnt, and don't go too far as you will not get the heat and light. Very beautifully said. Exactly. Not too far, not too close, not too far. And Namaste Mataji, welcome, Hare Krishna. And then practicing on how to overcome the obstacles. Yeah. Yeah, Namaste is amazing, is saying, appreciating the amazing qualities of Srimad Bhagavatam, that it is Krishna's body personified. Yeah, that's what Bhagavatam is. You like that? Yep, it is. Any reflection? Any questions burning that we can address in 2 minutes that remain?
So miserly weakness, Kirpanna dosha, is that you know things and then you are just weak to surrender and do?
Miserly weakness was when you want things only for yourself, right? And from there we go to the other extreme of Atmendriya Priti to going in other extreme is Krishnendriya Priti. So here Arjuna is doing everything and talking questions about his realizations. How can I be happy? How can my family be happy? Like that. There he is, and whatever he's doing, he's refusing to do because his focus is that, well, how can I, how can I enjoy the spoils of the war if they all are killed? So, okay, I won't fight because the focus is him. But the moment the focus changes to Krishna and you realize that it's Krishna who wants that war to happen because, Vinashaya cha dushkritam, he has come here to annihilate the bad things and the bad will be annihilated in the war. So then when you change the focus over there, then you're not being miserly because now you're doing things for Krishna. So our focus should always be in trying to do things for Krishna.
Mataji, when the war happens, of course, many bad people will die, but along with them, many other people will also die. Yes. Those who are taking part in the battle.
Yes, the good and the bad die, and then Krishna says that what is it? Fortunate are those Kshatriyas to whom these opportunities arise. Why? Because if they die, they will be elevated to heavenly planets, and if they win, they will enjoy here. So either ways, there is enjoyment for you. We just have to overcome the fear of death, right? Which Kshatriyas don't have. You remember you told us about when you talked to your husband that nobody wants to abandon the army. They are all gung-ho. They want to go and fight.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So everybody dies. Now, so the logical question to ask then is that weren't the Kauravas and everybody who supported the Kauravas, weren't they the bad ones in the sense that they were supporting the bad side? Shouldn't they all have just supported Krishna and Krishna's side because Krishna is God? So then all of them died. And are you telling me that all of them are going to be heaven? Right? So how do you answer that? Okay, let me just mute. Okay, so here we go. So what the logical question to ask then is that how do you explain that both the good and the bad are all going to heaven? Doesn't seem fair. Does it seem fair? Yes or no?
No.
Nice.
No,
Right? Doesn't seem fair, right? So here's the thing that yes, do they go to heavenly planets? Yes, but then remember, this is not one heavenly planet that everybody goes. It's these lokas. There are planetary systems are there, but there are many types of heavenly planets, and there are gradations within the heavenly planets also. So if you die in a war and you go to the heavenly planets and you're on the wrong side, you will go there because you gave up your life, but it will be a different type of a heavenly planet as compared to where those who are on the good side of the war, they will go to a heavenly planet which will be much higher in opulence, as well as the kind of association you will get there in a higher, much better planetary system will be that you will also get spiritual people there who are pursuing Krishna consciousness. So your chances of going up higher from there will be much higher. On the other hand, there can be heavenly planets where you are just enjoying. You're just given better facilities to eat, mate, sleep, and defend. Right? And when your credits are over, then you just come down like that. So that's where the difference is. That yes, they all die, but where do they go is the difference. So Krishna is very just. He has thought it out nicely. Krishna's plans are flawless.
So Mataji, what I'm understanding is that they are also doing like the fighters on the Kauravas enemy are also doing their duty. So they will rise to higher planets, but they will not go back because they are not serving Krishna. So,
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. They'll get some material benefits. They won't get spiritual benefits.
Okay.
Right? And spiritual benefits are what we carry over to the next life, right? We are reading that in the 6th chapter. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, it is reminding me of when we used to watch Ramayana. Then Ravan's son Indrajit, he realized that Lakshman is not just a normal person. He is God himself. Like Lakshman and Ram is God himself, and he comes back to Ravana and tells him, he leaves the battlefield, he comes back to tell him that you should surrender, but Ravan doesn't agree. So then he says that, okay, my duty was to tell you, and then that we should go surrender, but if you're not ready, then my duty as a son is to fight for you, so I'll do that. And so yeah, that was reminding me.
But then the son had a choice. Very good thing, very good citation, Priyanka Mataji. But the son had a choice at that point whether he should, and again it comes to good cause and a greater cause. After having realized that Lakshmana is not a mortal human being, right? So what if your father doesn't agree to that? But there was nothing stopping him from going over and joining the other side. He had the free will to do that. Who did that?
Yeah, Vibhishan did that.
Yeah, there you go. In his own family,
Right.
you see an example there. Somebody did that and somebody didn't, and you see the difference. The end result was different for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are on the side of Krishna, things are nice, always. There you go. Alrighty, then we'll call it a day on these happy thoughts. Yeah, remember, think about Krishna, think about Srila Prabhupada, think about your spiritual master if you have one. If you don't have one, think about having one, because you can't cross over this material ocean without the help of a spiritual master. It's very difficult. Krishna had the best, the master of all the masters. Not Krishna, Arjuna had the best master of the masters. He had Krishna, but then all the spiritual masters are representative of Krishna. So, okay. And thank you so much, Suyash Prabhu, for sharing and for building up the list for us. And thank you, everybody, for your fantastic reflections, both on Zoom as well as on the Facebook. We'll call it a day here today. Today is Tuesday. We're going to have another session of Bhagavad Gita at 6 o'clock p.m. on the same Zoom channel and the same Facebook channel. So from now to here,
Shraddha-ji, after the call, do you have a minute for?
I have all the time for you. Okay. Vanchikalpatrubhyacha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha gopremanande hari hari.
Hari Bol.
Yes, give me a hari bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.